Kathy may not be joining us tonight. She got her booster shot today.
Okay, you may go ahead.
All right, well, thank you. And we're going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to all of you and to all our fans worldwide too that are watching. Yeah, Happy New Year and welcome to 2022. Couple of things before we start our agenda. Nothing for tonight, but what is going to come down our pipeline is council did recommend, or General Committee recommended the other day that we get involved in the Holly renaming, protect, kind of conserving the Holly name in the rec center when it's going to be renamed, and that recommendation still has to be approved by council next Monday night. I'm assuming that it will, and if it is, then next meeting we'll have some discussion about how we approach that. The other thing that is coming down the pipeline, and you may or may not, I think Tammy may have sent that email out to everybody already, and that has to do with the Bradford Street environmental assessment. There's quite a number of homes along that road that we have some interest in. And so the documents are going to be available on January the 25th on our website. And I think that next month we may also have a bit of a discussion about that. At the moment, there's not that much available publicly yet. And it's very early in the process, but we will be no doubt called upon to do some thinking about it and give some advice on that. So keep your ear to the ground on that. And I think maybe next meeting we'll put it on the agenda, and that way we can start talking about it. All right. The first item that I have on my agenda is the committee budget update. What we've basically done last year was that we had about $6,000 for street signs, and we've spent all of that. So I don't know that we need to spend any more on that item this year. I circulated it last month with a couple of blanks in it. The blanks being the designated building plaques and the listed building plaques. The other item that I think is probably fairly important that we have to think about is the walking tour booklets, because I think we're running out of those. So there'll be a reprint job for that. And Tammy, maybe we could ask you and Thomas for our next meeting to give us a price and a proposal on how to do that, how much it would cost, and how many to print and all of that kind of thing. Shelley.
I was just going to say that they're reprinting is one thing if you want to have them exactly as they are. I know that from working at Open Air Dunlop, some of them they're not all the same. And so whether or not we wanted to relook at redesigning, reconfiguring some of the content, I'm just saying there may be a little bit of money that you would need for design, let alone if we added a new logo. So I just wanted to raise that it could not just be a straight reprint, could just be a little bit of design cost as well.
All right. Anybody else on that?
Yes, yep, my hand's up.
Sorry, whose hand?
It's Deb. Sorry.
Oh, hi, Deb. Okay.
my little hand's up, but I'm on my laptop that doesn't have a camera. Anyways,
Oh, yeah.
last year I had offered to do an overhaul of the guidebooks because to Shelley's point, a lot of the photos of the buildings aren't the same. Some are gone. Some of the neighborhoods have changed, so it does need a bit of an overhaul. I had started a working document, and Thomas said, let's keep it all in one document versus a whole bunch of emails and updates. So when that first draft is available, I'll send it out to the team and at least be a start point for any edits and changes we want to implement before we print anymore, because it does need an overhaul. And there's also an opportunity to integrate one of the books that had been left out of the last reprint. So just have everything in one document, or broken up into separate neighborhoods, for the online version. So just to say that was something I was to work on, and I am working on it, and I'll have an update for the committee by our next meeting.
All right. So Tammy, we now have 3 items on for our next meeting, and I'm hoping you're keeping track of these. So thanks, Deb. And let me ask you this: is there a lot of overhaul work to be done before we reprint, or is it fairly cosmetic?
A little bit of both. Some of the buildings that are in the some of the guidebooks are not even the right buildings. They give an address, but it's the wrong buildings. So there's some corrections to be made. Some buildings have changed pretty dramatically. Some maybe should be removed altogether. So it's a simple enough thing if we do it all at once. So but to Shelley's point, if we're going to do any branding refresh, it's a good time to introduce it. Maybe change up the cover to something more engaging, just some basic, not so much design, but content changes.
All right. But if we're going to refresh the cover, for example, I'm just wondering, Tammy, should we be involving our communications group at the city to do that? You're on mute. How 2020 of you.
It might be, we may want to include communications with that. So maybe what we can do is invite them to the next meeting. Maybe would that suffice to bring them to the next meeting? Maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, and they helped on the last, when we redid the books the last time. The committee, like worker bees like me, worked on the changes. Then we handed it off to the communication team. They reshot a few photos and implemented any designer layout changes. So we handed off the draft product to them, and then they took it from there.
Okay.
I'm just saying maybe to invite them to, so they have an idea what the plans are and what to get an update and stuff like that.
It may not be that we have to invite them to the meeting, but maybe I should give Rebecca a heads up on it. Would that
maybe that's a possibility too, or we can invite them to the next meeting, whatever's better.
Okay, I'll give Rebecca a heads up. And
just let me know if you need me to invite them to the next meeting.
Yeah, okay, I'll see what she has to say about that. I guess there's also the question then of, should we include a QR code? Is that, do we have to sort of upgrade our technology in all of this as well? Any thoughts on that?
Maybe, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Maybe we ask the city of Barrie about that, to see about consistency. If they are, if they're using QR codes on a lot of their materials, then that would, give us an indication that we should. I work in marketing and communications and printing all the time. So some people think it's a bit of old school. Some people think that it's really great. So there's two sides to including a QR code. So we can, but we have to make sure that we have the information available, you know, on the website or whatever. And I'm sure Deb, as she mentioned, there's going to be a print version, but even an online version. But if you've got the printed QR code, then what are you going to? Is it further content, or what are you going to? So it's worthy of a discussion and to look into it.
Sure. Okay. Well, what we can do is we can have a chat. I'll have a chat with Rebecca and just get that ball rolling a little bit, and then we'll see where we go with it. All right. Any more comments on the budget and on the question of the reprint? Okay. I think that Kaylee.
I just wondered if we're discussing each budget item or just a general budget. If we had sort of discussed if we are going to, you know, allocate money to certain items.
Well, I'm open to having a discussion about anything on the budget. We always, of course, you know, like we have a total of $23,000 that we can spend pretty much any way that we want, and it's more of an allocation exercise than anything else. But did you have anything specific, Kaylee?
I think for specifics, I had sort of mentioned before that I wasn't sure about allocating slot banner tent when you could get one that was a bit cheaper, because we often find that the stand-up poster that we have draws people in more than maybe the banner would, or not the banner, a poster would. And I think Sarah was also wondering about if we really need to go to someone outside to get a logo and spend all the money on that, or like the ones that they sent seem to be, you know, in keeping with what it has been in the past, or if anyone on the committee wants to take a stab at a new logo. And I know from doing the banner that the communications team and whatnot really have to approve everything. So
yeah, for sure.
There might be a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, that's true. I think that, you know, there's been a fair bit of work done on the logo, and I think we've kind of come to a point where we say, okay, that's, you know, we're as close to it as we need to get. Oh, somehow I just got told we're being recorded. Yeah, I mean, the whole question of getting another banner, I mean, we have something like $10,000 in our budget that we haven't unallocated, or we haven't allocated yet. I'm kind of curious about how much the walking tour booklets are going to cost us, because I think that's sort of the big piece. And then, you know, once we have that out of the way, then I think, you know, we can take a look at, you know, how much we want to spend on a couple of traffic box wraps, because there's money involved in those. And then I don't know whether we'll need some art to pay for something in the Allendale Tunnel. So I think once we get those big pieces out of the way in terms of the budget, then we can have a look at, you know, the tent and some of these other things that we've been talking about. Tammy.
Do you have money, Ella? You'll have to do an expenditure for the Heritage Barrie Awards as well, don't forget.
Yes.
Sure. I haven't got the amount yet, but probably next month you'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Next month, we know a little more.
Yeah. In our sort of preliminary allocation, we've got about $3,000 set aside for that. Okay. Kaylee.
I had wondered if we wanted to, besides the walking tour booklets, which are good, everybody seems to collect them all, do more educational material that we can give out, or like at Open Dunlop, when Sarah and I went, I printed off some coloring pages for kids to take, and I wondered if we could put some other information on it so it gets in the hands of the kids, but then the parents read a bit more about it or other stuff to actually hand out for our educational portion of our mandate.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And maybe one of the things you could do is just send what you think we could do with some of that. Do you have the pictures that you were handing out?
I do, but I was working on something else that was more than just the coloring that had.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, are you going to be in a position to sort of share it with the committee and ask for a budget amount, say next meeting?
Oh yeah, I could probably do that.
Yeah. Okay. Tammy's going to add that to the agenda. And thank you for doing that. And I think that a great idea. And I mean, photocopying a couple hundred sheets of those is not that expensive. So I'm sure we can manage that. Hello, Councillor Harris. Nice to have you join us. All right. Any more items on the budget allocation that we need to talk about tonight? All right. I'm sure we'll talk about it some more. Communication strategy. Was that, who's handling that? Or is that Thomas and he's absent tonight? Kaylee.
Wasn't there supposed to maybe be a subcommittee to decide what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do communication? And I'm not sure if there was a committee put together or not.
Shelley.
Hi, it came up just to kind of for a recall for all of us, you know, it came up at the stakeholder meeting, and I had included it in the note that I had submitted. Because a lot of the committee members were asking for, you know, either, you know, messaging and things, you know, along that line so that they could help us get the message out. So, I mean, a communication strategy or communication plan is not that difficult to put together. You kind of just, it's a matter of, you know, looking at what you need, what kind of messaging you need, and who do you give it to, you know, if it's an event or if you're going to give it to BIA to send out to their members and things like that. You look at what the message is and what are the channels. I don't know, to Kaylee's point, if a committee had been set up, but I'm more than happy to work on that because that's kind of what I do, a lot of day in, day out kind of thing. So it's all about content. And if we're going to do the walking tour booklets, that's great. We can, you know, there's some of the content, but it's a little bit about putting together like a calendar of events, like what events are the city having? How are we going to be involved? What initiatives do we have that we need help getting communication out about, like the Heritage Awards or other initiatives that we do? Anyway, going on, that's something that I'd be happy to work with whomever wants to. I know that one thing I did look at it, and I went back to look at, you know, this, I don't know if everyone knows this document that I was given when I joined the committee, which is the City of Barrie Heritage Advisory Committee 2019 to 2022 work plan. And there was a communications plan in there that has Kathy's name on it. So I don't know if anything, I don't think, obviously it's a heritage media strategy, which, you know, maybe it's one and the same, communication media strategy. So that was on there to develop a communications and social media strategy. So I don't know if that links into that. Sorry, before I finish, back to, is there a committee?
Yeah. I don't think we ever struck a committee, at least not in my memory. And I am delighted that Shelley has put up her hand on this one. And I think that, that's probably a great start, Shelley, if you would take that on and just put it together for us. I don't know whether you'll be ready next meeting. We can ask Tammy to put that on the agenda for next meeting as well.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't recall whether Kathy has done anything on it, but maybe you could, between now and the next meeting, just connect with Kathy and just see what her thoughts are on it. So if you'd take that on, that'd be terrific.
Happy to help. Happy to help out.
Okay, perfect. All right. All right. So now promoting heritage, the Barrie District Association of Realtors, BDAR. Someone very brilliantly last meeting suggested that BDAR be approached to sponsor the awards or sponsor something. And there was some positive indication from their part that they would be interested in doing that. What we have had a bit of a discussion, and you saw some emails maybe, that we really need to kind of flesh this out. So it's going to be a bit late for this year, but for certain next year. So, and we don't want to go ahead without having sort of council's blessing on it as well. So what I would like is a motion that says that the committee investigate having BDAR sponsor the historic awards or some other part of our mandate. If we pass that kind of a motion, then it'll go to city building and on to council, and we'll have some sort of direction and some sort of blessing on that approach, because we don't want to be sort of reaching out to somebody and saying, oh, we'd like to get you involved in this, and then get some feedback from council that would be contrary to that. So is that, any questions, comments? Councillor Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to own that motion. It's my suggestion to approach them to sponsor the Heritage Awards. So yeah, happy to put that on the floor.
All right, thank you. We have it on the floor. Any discussion on it? Tammy.
Just a question. Did you want them just to look at the Heritage Awards, or did you want them the potential of other heritage related matters?
Yeah, I think so. I think we leave it open that it could be
Right.
the Heritage Awards, or, I mean, if we, I don't know, buy a tent and, we put their logo on it, if they paid for it, we might be open to that. Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
So if we leave it a bit open, then we have some flexibility, and council gets the general sense of where we're going with it. All right, any more discussion? Shelley?
Or we could see if they wanted to put their logo on the back of the walking tour booklets.
Absolutely.
Because it's all about real estate and going around, and, maybe that's a fit. And that's where probably this year we will have some expense.
Yeah, exactly.
Just as a suggestion.
No, that's a great idea. Yeah. Hey, they could fund our whole budget, right? All right. Any other comments, thoughts? Jim?
Thank you, Chair. An interesting conversation. I think we're going down another road, which is interesting, which is sponsorship opportunities. So we've just noted the awards. We've just noted the potential to something on our tent, and we just noted the possibility of our books. So that seems like a different road, but it's interesting. But that's something that kind of just tweaked my mind when you mentioned that Tam mentioned the tent, and then Shelley mentioned the books. Now we're talking about potential opportunities for others who might want to sponsor. So
Yeah, you're right. And I think that as part of our discussion, I think we need to bring in city staff like Rebecca, just to make sure we're not stepping on any toes or getting ourselves into trouble. So I think that for sure. And you were not on the meeting right at the top, but I did mention the Holly situation as well, that we expect to have come our way in a couple of weeks. Craig.
Yeah, I have to go for my meeting, so I apologize, everybody.
Nope.
See you next meeting. Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Greg.
Sorry.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So we have the motion on the floor. Are any further discussion? All right. Those in favor? Can I? All right. Any opposed? None. Thank you. That's carried. Great.
I have another question.
Oh yes, Tammy.
Apparently, BDAR was looking for the committee to possibly make a presentation to their organization about heritage,
Yeah.
heritage matters, or
Yes.
Wasn't Kathy, or didn't it be in the last meeting? Didn't Kathy, or was it, or maybe it was another presentation? Because I could be wrong there.
I think Thomas maybe briefly mentioned it, but they were interested in having somebody, maybe the committee, present to them about Heritage Barrie, about whatever.
Because we've got that PowerPoint that we did for the shareholder meeting.
So, anyhow, that was just Thomas mentioned it to me. So.
Oh, because you're right, and I think there was some discussion about Thomas doing something. Thomas and Kathy, if I'm not mistaken. Kaylee.
I think it was Craig and Kathy that were supposed to go and give the presentation. And I don't know that it was scheduled, but I thought that they were working on it. And as neither of them are here now, it's hard to really say where we're at with it.
Yeah, we're not going very far on this one. All right. Tammy, can I ask you to contact Craig and Kathy and just find out where they are with that? Because yeah, it'd be great to have a discussion with BDAR, and that would be a good thing to do. All right. Bradford Street properties. I think Kathy was working on that too, wasn't she? All right, we will have to defer that until the next meeting then. That brings us to the Heritage Awards. So we have tentatively scheduled that for February the 14th. And that's Heritage Week as well. So that fits in very nicely. We have the list of the winners this year. And I know that Thomas is working on pictures and things like that, but I don't know where he's at on that. Tammy, do you have okay.
I can provide. Actually, he sent me the list of winners. So I haven't had a chance to contact them yet, but I will. And then we're going to make arrangements with the photographer to go out and do their thing with them. So we're hoping to have everything ready for the 14th, but I'm getting it going for Thomas while he's away this week. So.
Okay.
So.
All right. And we will, well, last year, what we did was we asked the local councillor to give out the awards. That worked pretty well, I thought. Any discussion, any suggestions in terms of how we might do it this year or make changes? Kaylee.
I think that's a good idea. And I think we had sort of mentioned maybe before seeing if any of the counselors had nominations for their award for a Heritage Award. So it might get them a bit more involved with the Heritage Committee and with Heritage in their award, especially if we're thinking about wraps and stuff. It might just get their orienting it a bit more on
Yeah.
heritage. So I think it worked out well last year. I would say do it again.
I'm inclined to do it again the same way. Councillor Harris, you look like you want to say something.
Thank you. I was trying to think of the allocation this year. Do we have much variety as it relates to different wards being nominated? I don't have it in my reference.
Yeah. I know we have one in Ward 1, so I get to do one, and we have a couple in Ward 2.
Okay.
And then we have also the Barrie today, which is kind of wardless, I guess. So
Okay, good. We have a variety. So we can make some decision around how we want to do the Barrie today, and the other ones we've got at least one other counselor plus yourself. So that's good. Okay.
yeah, we'll try to spread it around a little bit, I think. All right.
Yeah, I can give you, like, I can tell you, there's Rodney Street,
That's in Ward 1.
Queen Street, 178 Bayfield Street,
That's Ward 2.
the Sir Robert Barrie Committee, that's Gray and Simcoe Foresters, and then Barrie today.
All right. Okay, so,
That
you
helps.
know, the ones that are there two of them that are kind of wardless? We might spread them out to, maybe Jim, you should take one, and then we'll try to find somebody else to take another one. What do you think? Yep. Okay. All right. Any more discussion on the Heritage Awards? No. Okay. Heritage Week. Now I think we were talking about whether we could add something to Heritage Week. Kaylee.
I was sort of working on that. I had different ideas, but now I'm not sure how much we can do with COVID, and I don't know if it'll be locked down. I know Deb had suggested, I think it was documenting people's houses, but if the communications team has to go in, they're probably not going to be able to go in to people's homes this year. So I'm not sure how much we can actually do as far as Heritage Week this year with all the restrictions and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that's going to be a challenge for sure. All right. So why don't we just leave it the way it is, and we'll do the Heritage Awards, and that'll be our contribution for Heritage Week this year. And hopefully next year we can do a whole lot more. But we may do some thinking actually in terms of what we could do next year to kind of prepare ourselves. So let's jot that down and see what else we could do to expand that. All right, Kaylee.
Yeah, I had a few ideas for it, but they don't really work with COVID. But I can start looking into stuff for next year if people have ideas for hopefully next year when we're not locked down, that we can organize something where people can actually come out to stuff instead of all the virtual things.
Yeah, I certainly do like the you know, taking a movie or pictures of the interior of places and expanding, you know, what people can see. And I'm in the town of Milton sometimes, and they have a walk of fame, and it has to do with all of the people who, you know, were, you know, made a name for themselves and that were citizens of Milton over the years, you know, and there would be sports people, and there would be actresses, and you name it, business people, and they have first of all, inside their building, they have kind of like this, you know, these stars, like they have in Hollywood or in Toronto. So, it'd be kind of really cool to get a list of people who really contributed to Barrie and do something similar. We could get, a walk of fame, I don't know, in the rotunda, going around the rotunda, or outside somewhere. And I think it'd be really great because in Milton, they also have like a big television screen that just kind of runs this on a loop and gives you all kinds of information about each of these people. So, there's another idea that I thought, boy, that's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm sure we go to lots of other places and see other good ideas too. So, Kaylee, we'll look to you to give us a good long list for next year. So start us off on a suggestion there. All right. Any more discussion about Heritage Week?
Deb has her hand up.
Okay, that's terrific. I don't see Deb's hand up. So Deb, you're going to have to unmute yourself and tell her.
Yeah, I'm muted. Sorry, you can't see my little yellow hand. It was just a comment. Whoever suggested moving the Heritage Awards to Heritage Week it's absolutely brilliant, because it kind of was like hanging out there all random and alone in December, and now it really makes sense, and it's something that we can organize around, and it's just one more thing in the heritage portfolio. So whoever thought that up or made that suggestion, kudos to them. I think it really makes sense.
I agree with you 100%. And the person that came up with that, their name is lost in history. So, but whoever did definitely deserves a pat in the back. Or was it you, Jim? Kaylee.
It wasn't me. I'd like to remember who that wonderful person was. Who was it? You, Kaylee?
It might have been Thomas. It might have been Thomas. He usually has a lot of good ideas. He's not here to take credit for it, but it could have been him.
Yeah, I think so.
It was Sarah after the heritage presentation to council.
Right. Oh, Sarah. Okay.
Well done, Sarah.
Well done, Sarah.
Anyway, it was a good, I think it really makes a lot of sense. All right, the next item is the status of the Municipal Heritage Register. I suspect that is something that Thomas would normally deal with. Tammy, do you have anything on it?
He advised he has no new applications received.
Nothing, okay. Development applications under review, that would be Thomas as well. Did he give you anything?
He said there is a committee of adjustment application for 79 Collier Street, which is adjacent to the Simcoe and Gray Foresters Museum, but this application has already been before the committee already, so no heritage matters to be addressed.
Right. Yes, we had quite a discussion several months ago on that one. And I'm assuming that the committee of adjustment application doesn't make any difference to our view of that application. Or should we have a look at it? I'll have a look at it at the application when I get a chance, and then we'll make that decision. I suspect that Thomas didn't raise anything, so I suspect that it's some sort of technical thing that doesn't affect the historic value of it. All right, then there's the item on historic street signs. Do you know what Thomas wanted to talk to us about that?
Okay, let's see here. Historic street signs. Oh, okay. Last year's order has been placed. The operations team will be installing the signs over the course of 2022.
And there were, I think, something like 30 signs, 30 intersections that were going to be done.
Oh, we have 43 intersections done at a cost of $6,600.
All right, does
that sound about right?
That sounds perfect.
Oh, no, hold on here. And if we, okay. Yeah.
So now the question is, do we have more to be done after this?
Yeah, you said we had 43 intersections done at a cost of $6,600. And he would estimate that another $6,500 would be appropriate if we have another 40 intersections done for 2022.
That would give us 40 intersections. Do we have 40 intersections left to do? David?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I was involved in collecting establishing a list of some kind that was submitted, and it'd be interesting to get back to what they have done. And I happen to know I started seeing them popping up and realizing that intersections we've been to had been done. So it'd be great when the weather improves to cross-reference sort of what we had and what they've done. I hope they've collected lists and whether or not we submitted, and also find out how many were submitted, or do we need to submit more? So just a couple of comments there, and I'd happy to begin to try and help resolve that if there's anything more to be done, either on the street or by way of confirming a list. Thank you.
Thanks for that, David. And it seems to me that 40 intersections is, we've come quite a ways. So there may not be that many left that we still want to do. So let's, David, if you wouldn't mind doing that cross-referencing and seeing where we are with that, that'd be terrific. All right. Any more discussion on street signs? No. Heritage plaques.
Do you want me to go ahead?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to go ahead with what Thomas said?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just reading this. There are at least 15 properties without a plaque. This does not include those still to be added from 2021. He estimates about $7,000 get plaques for the remaining properties if they all agree.
Okay. All right. Any discussion on that? Here's the conundrum that I think we're going to face. In our budget, we have something like $10,000 that is unallocated. If we do all the 15 plaques for $7,000, that's leaves us $3,000, and that probably will not be enough to do the reprinting of the walking of the historic walks booklets. So I think that what we need to do is to get the answer on how much it's going to cost to reprint the booklets, and then do that work, and then spend the rest on the plaques. I mean, we may not need all $7,000 because some people may not want them, but we may have to stretch that over a couple of years because it seems to me that having the booklets is probably more important. All right, any discussion on that item? All okay? All right. Kaylee, yes.
It's sort of related. I don't know if all the, if everyone has been asked yet or not. But we were talking about the features inside people's homes and getting that in a video, like Kath had said. I just wondered if there was certain things like hinges or decorative items that were still in the house, if we wanted to ask when we're asking if they want a plaque, if they could send in photos maybe of it, and then we could put it with their listed house in the book or online, because it's a bit more interesting to see the actual details that you can't see from the outside. So maybe if they have it all the letters gone out, maybe we could ask that with it.
Yeah, certainly getting the interior photographs of some of that detail would be very helpful. Absolutely. I don't know whether there'd be a real cost attached to that. I mean, if we're in there photographing, then it's probably included anyway. Kaylee.
I just wondered if they had photos themselves that they wanted to provide, that we would either just put it on the website with their listing, or in the print version if we ever print another one. But sometimes that's more interesting than just the outsides of the original features. So it wouldn't probably cost if they would just send us a photo.
Yeah, I think that's that could easily be done when we ask them about a plaque, because we have a communication with them at that point. So why not? Why not? Absolutely, good idea. Okay. Any other items on the plaques?
So on that point, is that something that we should maybe ask Thomas to maybe modify that letter so that, it becomes standard practice that we just ask if they could, we would really greatly appreciate any, photos for our files, particularly inside where people can't get in, so he could modify that in the letter.
Yeah, I think that's a really great suggestion. I think that makes really good sense. So, and I made a note. I will ask Thomas to give some thought to that. Yeah. All right. Do we have any other things we need to talk about? Because I can tell you that it is 7:17 according to my clock, and if we quit now, this will be a record. Shelley.
I just, I referred to it earlier, is this, because it's the beginning of the year, I just didn't know whether or not somebody is, or if it's something that is normally done, is to update this work plan that has, to somebody to go through it. We have things from 2019 or 2020 in mine is missing, but I have printed out 2019, 2021, and there's certainly some things that haven't been done. And so and some of the things have been done and they've been crossed out. And so it's a good reference document, to show what we've done. But is this something that we would normally do at the beginning of the year, is to, say, okay, what are the goals? What do we want to accomplish this year? And then as a committee go, okay, we can't do all of this. So we have to somehow, we talk about it and then we prioritize what we as a committee want to do. And then to Kaylee's point, I think when we talked about this before, is then somebody is a lead on there so that they know that they, take some responsibility to talk to other committee members, or, to get that moving along. So I don't know, it would seem like, it's like January, a lot of people are getting all their plans together for the year. So I just thought I'd bring that up, because it's a handy document to look at and go, oh, okay, so this is what we're supposed to be working on, but is anybody looking at this and doing anything?
A very good point. And yes, we should have a New Year's resolution that that updates this in January. Kaylee.
Well, Thomas usually keeps it updated because he also does some tasks to people at this city, not necessarily us. So usually he brings it to us. Not sure if it's at the end of the year, it has been, or the start of the year. Usually we've gone through it all, done updates, and sort of said what we should push off or what we should tackle each year. But he's not here, and I'm not sure exactly what we do, but usually Thomas is the one that updates it and sends it all out.
And he goes through it with the committee or whatever, and you guys do your discussion about it.
Yeah. And I think
there's projects on here that, like the Allendale mural, and that aren't on the plan already, but so to your point, Kaylee, maybe he would look at this and go, oh, okay, so what's not even listed on here, and what are we doing? So if that's something, I don't know, it's up to you ask Thomas to kind of update that and then give it to us for review.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the right approach. And I'll ask Thomas to, Thomas and I will work on it to try to figure out, what needs to be on there and what we can drop. One of the difficulties is that I think that it was a very ambitious document, maybe too ambitious. And so, and then of course we get distracted by other things that come along as well. So, so I will work with Thomas on that, and we'll see whether we can have that for our next committee meeting. All right. Any other items that need addressing? Well, I think we have set a record, and thank you very much. Great meeting as always. We really seem to move that ball forward every meeting that we come to. So our next meeting is February the 9th, and that is just before the awards. So that's probably really good timing. And well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you in a month.
Yes.
So thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.